Um, and so, as things happen synchronicity wise, I had a bit of a uh, prodigal son experience this week that I want to share with you, and it's really more of an Easter story than it is a Lenten story. But this just so happens to be Laetare Sunday, which is meant to be a foretaste of Easter anyway. So, um, a buddy of mine, I was trying to figure out how the heck can I tell this story, in the midst of this, and he reminded me, John, it's Laetare Sunday. It is a little Easter. So I want to share this little story with you, and in the spirit of what was done so beautifully, we don't know what happens to both brothers in the story. We know there's a celebration. For me, there's nothing from the younger son saying, "Thank you, Dad. I will allow you to put that ring on my finger, and I will allow, you know, I want to have this party." But we don't know that for sure. All of us at times do things that, although we may be forgiven, the real work is in forgiving ourselves. Um, and of course, we don't know how the older brother accepts this news um, from his father and the possibility of being reunited with his brother. So, anyway, here's this little story that happened on Thursday, which happened to be the 71st birthday of a man named Monroe Suckins, and he was a resident at one of our programs, our largest one, 630 bed on Fifth Avenue, just across from Central Park at 105th Street. He was a resident there for 17 years. And he was there because when he was in high school, he played football and he had some brain injury that really played out in different ways throughout his earlier life, but then became more profound. He worked on the railroad, and but it changed in some ways who he was. So much so that his wife divorced him, and and he was unable to care for himself. Um, Monroe had a huge spirit. He was also a big guy. He played football, and although his thinking wasn't always right on target, it was off just enough that all you could do was love him and know that he was really living from his heart rather than his head. Um, and he died about 3 weeks ago, unfortunately. And I don't know all that led to his death, unfortunately. Um, but because he was a part of this community for 17 years and because he was such a big presence, um, we really wanted to say goodbye to him. And it just so happened that his ex-wife called and said that his son, he had two children, his son was coming back to New York. He lives in Georgia now. And could we wait to do this? And they're Catholic, so can we wait to do this memorial mass? And we did, and we got to do it on his birthday. And his son, whose name is Eric, um, big guy, just like his dad. And what was very obvious to us immediately was that he had very much the same personality as his dad. Like this guy, when he walked in, we were all like, wow, he just had a presence. And during the homily, as usual, it's John Anderson Mass, we had tons of people talk. Members of the rec team, um, his football coach, believe it or not, from high school. And Monroe would have been 71. His football coach was there, as well as a few other members of his family. And Eric got up after a number of folks had spoken and talked about how much he loved his dad, but that his real regret was that he was not in contact with his father for about 15 years. He really had nothing to do with him after really he moved into TCC. But he spoke lovingly of his dad. And at the end of the Mass, we had the cremated remains. And I asked Eric to take the cremated remains and we blessed them with the holy water. And then we moved to, there were about 50 of us in our auditorium. And each person, whether they were a resident, whether they were a part of the rec team or a member of the family, blessed Monroe's ashes in the arms of his son. And it was, for all of us, this incredible picture of reconciliation and forgiveness. And I got to stand next to Eric as he moved from person to person, and he said something different to each and every person that blessed his father. It was like transformative and one of the most beautiful liturgies I've ever been a part of. And I thought, this is what it's really about. He was courageous enough to not only hold his dad and come back for his dad, but to listen to the person his dad had become in this nursing home. And then reverence that by, I would say, blessing each and every one of us there by what he told us. So I offer that to us just as a little reflection. The Jungian model says that we are all, right? We're every member of our dreams. A Jungian interpretation is we are each person in this gorgeous story. And I hope and pray that these next days of our Lenten journey can help us realize that in a new way.